Risks. There are risks everywhere.
Either risks or myths.
Moving forward with the Dekker team. Moving forward together with the Dekker team.
We are honored to welcome you to another episode of Life's Inside Track. I'm Yetta Dekker.
I'm Ken Dekker.
And it's where we get to share tactics, tips, tools, tricks. Not so much tricks, but sometimes they're tricks. And some truths that we all need. We all deserve. You, I, everyone. So we can turn our house into home, our families thrive, and we live the best life possible. We're going to consider that building wealth through real estate is still one of the least risky ways of investing your money and not losing your hard-earned money. And yet, it scares more people than it doesn't. Because it's risky.
Is it?
Well, I don't think so. And yet, isn't that the reason we hear most people tell us they don't invest in real estate? They don't want to lose what they've already worked so hard for. And the risk is just too great when it comes to real estate.
I think maybe part of it is that it's something that you get to be more active in, or they think they're going to have to be too active in.
So that's a risk, too much involvement?
Yeah, because you can go give your money to your bank or to your investment portfolio guy or whatever, and there's risk there, but it's hands-off risk. Like once you give it to them, you kind of just hope that they're looking after it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And so here, the hands-on being one of the risks is, maybe we'll call it hassle factor.
Sure, we can talk about hassle. Like hassle can be, people say, "Oh, I don't want to get woke up at 2 a.m. because the toilet's plugged or the toilet's leaking But really, if you live in a home or you're a tenant now or you live in a home that you own, how often does that happen? How often does the toilet break at 2 a.m.?
Or the dishwasher. I mean, it happened to us once.
Yeah.
Right? But really, there's very few emergencies in a house. I mean, could a furnace go down in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
It could. And if you handle the other one, which is maintaining it well, that's one of the risks, right? It's the upkeep and the frustration of maintaining it. I guess that's part of hassle factor too. And if you're proactive, you eliminate that.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a myth. I think there are way less emergencies in homes.
Way less or way more?
Way less than people think there might be.
Right.
Like, when was the last time we had a plumbing emergency, an electrical emergency, a furnace emergency? Like, are they once a year?
No. They're
once every couple years?
No.
Once every 5 years,
No.
the furnace breaks or something? Yeah,
no, not if we're having it serviced annually. No, we seldom have emergencies with those things. Maybe every 15 to 20 years.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Them's fighting words.
Well, this is for real.
I guess I look after it. I think it's more often than that.
I don't think it is. Because we have them come in and we maintain it.
Yeah, I know.
So I think it becomes...
But it still breaks sometimes and you have to call them. It's not necessarily an emergency, but you know what I mean? Like the furnace stops working or starts making a weird noise or something, then it's got to be serviced. It's got to be repaired.
Correct.
But is it an emergency? I mean, it's not a big deal, right? When you have your list of people and you phone somebody and say, "Hey, come fix the furnace." Like, wow. It's not like I'm putting on overalls, going to my tenant's place, going down in the basement with my wrench and my screwdriver and fixing the furnace.
No.
That's outside my expertise.
Right. You're just making a phone call.
Yeah.
And if that seems like still too much of a bother, then have a property manager. There's a career and a job for that reason, so you don't have to touch it at all.
Now, what about tenant risks? Because tenant risk can be a little tricky, right? You hear these horror stories of tenants not moving out, tenants not paying.
And, again, those are the
exceptions, not the rules.
Exceptions, not the rule. Exactly. And there are now companies that will provide insurance, really. And it's not really very expensive. And connect with us if you're thinking, hey, I would do buying an investment property and building my wealth that way, because I mean, everybody needs a roof over their head. So I might as well help somebody have a roof over their head that is in a position to buy or doesn't want to buy because they're not going to be in the city long enough.
Yeah. These companies, they'll look after
collecting the rent.
If the tenant doesn't pay, going to tribunal, getting them out. They pay for the, what do you call that person? Like a law clerk or they do all the work and
a year's worth of missed payments up to a year.
Yeah. So does that take the risk out?
I think it does.
Oh my goodness.
So what's the invitation?
And then screening for the tenant.
Okay.
Just don't put a bad tenant in to start with.
That's a big thing. And be present. That's the other way to rectify some of that with tenants, right? Be available, be accessible, interview them in advance as part of the screening process. Yeah.
So my invitation is that if you're thinking real estate investing and you're wondering, why in the world have I not done it, right? If it's one of the greatest things, the Dekkers keep talking about it.
They don't stop.
Maybe I should call one and have a meeting with them. So give me a call on my cell, 613-867-6058. 613-867-6058.
Right, because we don't want you to do something that's bad for you. We want you to do stuff that's good for you. And yet, because we know that we need, most of us, more investments built up than we have for a comfortable lifestyle, both now and in retirement. And real estate is leveraged, which I know sounds risky too, but it's actually why it isn't risky, because you don't over leverage, you leverage to the right amount, right?
Yeah. And so some people say, well, market fluctuations are risky. Well, yeah, if you're thinking of selling. But if you're buying and holding, the long haul of real estate has been super stable over the years.
Well,
50 years?
Yeah, or more. And people paying for your mortgage makes it kind of cool. You don't have to put that much in, and you still have something that's increasing in value where your equity is building. There's mortgage pay down. I mean, we've done so many shows about this. This is really just saying that the risks can be mitigated. The risks are myth if you do it right.
But what about maintenance and upkeep, Yetta? You know, like, what if the roof needs reshingling or the furnace breaks and I got to spend like $5,000?
Well, first of all, budget for it. Put some of the money that you're collecting
from so you
rent.
Mean it's not a surprise that
no, it's not a surprise. It actually is pretty normal, and it's a small inconvenience, a small amount of money relative to the return that you're getting,
and the size of the investment,
And if you can get a newer home, then you can also not have to do that for a long time. Right? So being aware of what's important to you, what you can put into it, both money, time, energy, and then planning accordingly mitigates or eliminates the risky stuff.
So our question is, what is the myth that has been stopping you from investing in real estate? Because we're honored to position you to build wealth wisely, because it's about much more than just money.
Moving forward with the Dekker